So you've probably heard me talk about the Mastering Monthly Wealth tool. This was created as a monthly budgeting tool. So if you're anything like I once was, you're writing your budget on a piece of paper, on a legal pad, and having to rewrite it every month and rebalance it. Or if you're a little bit more sophisticated, you're probably using an Excel spreadsheet to track all this information, and you only have it on your computer. So it's not like you can take it on your phone and add in these charges as you're using or spending your income. So I created this with you all in mind on making sure that we know exactly where we are to find out where we want to be in order to get where we want to go. So if you are trying to accomplish a certain amount in savings, a certain amount, a certain credit score, a certain budget at the end of the month, you have to know where every penny is going. Otherwise, you're just guessing. Believe me, I have been there. I did it for years, but I realized that until I can get control of it and know exactly what's coming in and what's going out, I'm just kind of shooting in the wind. So we don't want to do that. We want to know exactly what we have coming in, where is it going, and what we have at the end of the month. Now, this is going to do several different things. One, it's going to show you that, hey, you actually have more money left over at the end of the month than what you expected. And that's fantastic. Now we got to figure out what you're doing with it and where you can place it. The second thing is it can show you that you are robbing Peter to pay Paul because at the end of the month, there's nothing left or you're negative. So you're having to pull from any savings account that you already have to make ends meet. That's not where we want to be. I know that sometimes we get in those types of situations, but we don't want to stay there, right? And we don't want to be insane and keep doing that same thing every month and expecting something to change. So we want to change our habits and we want to change our behavior. The other thing that it will show is things that you're spending maybe a little bit too much on than what you expected because $20 here, $50 here, $100 here, no big deal until you add it all up. And so there's going to be some things, some expenses that you have that are not going to change, and we'll go through that. But then there'll be some of those expenses where do I really need to spend that much on that? Or is that something that I can take out? It may be something where you say, hey, if I could spend this on this particular service or item, then it gives me back some time or freedom to do what it is that I want to do. That's all important. But again, we have to know where we are, what we're spending on, what's coming in, what's left at the end of the month in order to make these types of decisions and changes. Otherwise, we're guessing. And with your money, you never want to guess, you want to know. So, this Mastering Monthly Wealth tool can be found in your course in this video. Down at the bottom, there's a link in the section, and then also there is an attachment in the files section. So, if you click on it, you are going to see exactly what you're looking at right now. Now, what you can do is if you open that link from your cell phone, then you can save it as an app on your home screen. So, if you have an iPhone, and you open it up on your phone, click the link, and this Mastering Monthly Wealth tool pops up. What you would do is there'll be the box where you can like print it, forward it, email it. You want to click that, and then it'll open up save to home screen. And if you save to home screen, it will look like an app on your phone, just like your other apps. Now, the good thing about this is if you got a notepad, a legal pad, and you're writing down your budgets as you spend, or if you are using an Excel spreadsheet, you're not going to have that computer with you as you're moving throughout your day. Or you won't have it to where every time you spend, you can plug it in. The goal is to track everything, not some things. So with having it on your phone and you know you just spent maybe a little bit over your budget, you can make that change on the spot to where it's something that you don't forget to input, or it's something that you put in right away. And then guess what may happen? You may realize that you don't need it. If you already purchased it, you may even bring it back. Once you start to see how this changes, this is what we're trying to accomplish, is for you to be aware of what you're spending on. And if it makes sense, 100% go for it. And there's going to be some times where this is just something that you really wanted to get and you can afford to get it and you go for it. But there's going to be more times than buying those extra things that you're going to look and say, I really don't need that. Or I'm having to pull from my savings, or I'm not able to pay my tithes because I'm pulling from so many other sources in order to make ends meet. So awareness is great. Don't be afraid of what it's going to show you. Have an open mind to receive that I know where I am now, and now you have to do something about it. What we don't want to do is see this sheet and keep doing exactly what we're doing. That defeats the purpose of this program. That defeats the purpose of you investing in yourself for this program. And that defeats the purpose of you spending time learning this information. We're going to do something about it, and we're going to change our relationship with money. We're going to change the way that we see our budgets, and we're going to change our bad, not our spending habits, our bad spending habits. All right. So let's get going on this sheet. And this is something that you should do at least once a month. There's no way that income can be coming in and going out and you're not updating this every month. So you should update it every month. Sometimes some people like to do it every day. However you want to do it, it's up to you. But the minimum, once a month, you should be pulling out your bills. You should be pulling out everything that you've spent, and you should be filling out this form. What I would also encourage is that some of these things you can actually set a budget for. So you already know what it's going to be. Like your fixed expenses, your mortgage, it's not going to change by the month. It is what it is, right? So whatever that is, you can plug it in and then you can save it for next month. So let's just go down each line so I can show you guys how to properly fill out this sheet. So here you're going to put in your annual salary, and we're just going to make up some bogus numbers, right? So annual salary, we'll call it 100 grand. Okay. Your credit score. So here's the key. What's your credit score? If you don't know what your credit score is, now's the time to find out what it is. Again, it's not to shame anybody because nobody sees this but you. But it's for you to be aware of where you are. And if it's a 600, I want you to write 600 in there because now we know we got to do something about it. It's hard for you to see something like that, a low credit score, and not do anything about it. So if it's low, I want you to see it. And every time you pull up the spreadsheet, I want you to see it because I want you to do something about it. And if it's a 850, then you go, girl. You are on the right track as far as your credit goes. Now we need to figure out if our budget is saying the same thing as our credit. All right, so put in your credit score. We go receive an 850 around here. So let's put 850 in there just for the test. Hopefully you can see the drop down box when you go to month. All of the months are in there. So right now, just pick a month. Let's say June. And then you pick the year. It goes through 2040. So just pick a year. I'm just going to pick 2024. All right. And then monthly income. So now we're talking monthly income. So if we are making $100,000 a year, divided by 12, that is $8,333 a month. Now, here's what I do want to share with you. We want to put every penny. So if your monthly income is $8,333.33, show those 33 cents because we are accounting for everything. If you are getting additional income from somewhere, so if you already have rental properties, you want to add your rental income, your profit, not what the rents are. So if your rent is 1,000 on your rental property and you are netting after all expenses, so the mortgage, the insurance, repairs, whatever it is, you want to list the net amount in addition to W-2 income if that's what you have. If you have business income, then again, you want to list your profit or what you're paying yourself under monthly income. So any other subsidies as far as income that you're getting, you're going to compile all of that together, including your spouse's income and any supplemental income, add all of that in to the monthly income spot. Okay. And then you'll see here that your tithes and your savings is automatically calculated for you. So the 10% for tithes is taken out, as well as the 10% for savings is taken out. So if you remember in the prior video, we talked about the 10-10-80 rule: 10% tithes, 10% savings, 80% everything else. So this is accounting for that type of system that we're adopting. And so your savings, again, could be literally going into a high interest bearing savings account, or it can be going into an account that you are allocating towards your next rental property or your next big investment or starting your business, whatever that looks like. This is also, the savings 10% is also considered paying yourself. Something a lot of people don't do is pay themselves. So 10% tithes, 10% savings, and then this net amount for bills and other expenses is your 80%. Now we have to see, based on that 80%, is it enough to cover our fixed and variable expenses for the month? And so now what you do is you literally go through all of your bills and put in all of your expenses. So let's just go line by line. Let's go mortgage. And again, I'm just making up some numbers here. Let's go 1,500, your car note, let's say 850, insurance, we'll say 100, credit card debt. So there's two spaces for credit cards. So if you have two credit cards, perfect. Put in the first credit card in the first line, the second credit card in the second line. Whatever the balance is on that card, I encourage you to put that in there, because next month when we do this, we want to make sure that that balance is decreasing. If it's not, then we're going in the wrong direction with that, right? We're increasing debt opposed to reducing it. So if you have multiple credit cards, more than two, then combine as many as you can in this one and two credit card section that we have. And then the same thing. So if you have four, then you can put two in one spot and the balance in the two here. And then the second one, you can do two in the second spot and balance in the second spot for the two cards. So make that look however you want, but put your credit cards in this section along with the balances, because we're also going to watch that and see how that decreases every month. Next thing is, let's just put something for credit card. Let's say 250 with the balance of 10,000. Okay, and then the next one we'll say 275, balance of 5,000. Okay, internet expense, right? Cable streaming, same thing. Cell phones. So if you have a security system, here's another thing about the spreadsheet. There may be some expenses that you don't have. Perfectly fine. Just don't put anything in those sections. You can put a zero if you want, so it's not left blank, but don't put NA or anything like that. It needs to be a dollar amount or completely blank. So I'm just going to put a zero there to fill it in. Your electricity bill, right? Water bill, other utilities. So that could be gas, any other utilities that you may have, depending on your state or where you live. So let's just say another $200. And as you can tell, since we're right here, this number is changing every time we put in an expense. And I'll tell you what that means when we get to that side of the screen. Okay, childcare and tuition. If you don't have any children, or your children of age to where there's no childcare or tuition, there may be college. All of that goes in there. If that's not the case, there's no childcare, no tuition, again, we put zero. But if you do have both or multiple children, you're going to add the total amount. So let's just say $1,000. Student loans. If you have student loans, you want to put it in there. If not, leave it blank. So you may say, well, this form doesn't have my personal line of credit or a line of credit that I have for something else. That's fine. The section that says other loans, that's where we want to put in any other loans that you have that's outside of the itemized list that we have. So if you have four other loans that total $500 for monthly payments, go ahead and put that in there. So we'll just say $500. Housekeeper, you may say, I clean my own house. No problem. You can add that, put zero, or if you do have a housekeeper, how much are you paying a month to have that housekeeper? Lawn care. If your husband's doing the lawn, even better. And then other monthly fixed expenses. So this is another opportunity to lump in any other fixed expenses that you do not, um, that's not itemized on this list. So if everything is, and you say, hey, I've covered all of my bills, my fixed bills on, based on what you have already on the spreadsheet, then great, you can leave this as zero. But if there's anything else that was not mentioned, then you can put it in this other monthly fixed expense amount. So at the bottom, it's going to show you total monthly fixed expenses, $5,825. Okay. So that is your fixed expenses. Now, that's not it, right? There's other things that we have to pay for throughout the month. Things like groceries. So now let's go over to the variable expenses. These are mainly things that we can set a budget for or things that may change. So you may set a budget of $800 for groceries every month, but then one month you only spend 700. So you get the choice to make those decisions on that. And these, the variable expenses, are the things that you can actually start to change how much you're spending. I can't change how much my mortgage is unless I try to refi it, sell the house and go get something different. That's the only time that you can really change your mortgage amount, if it's fixed. Okay, if it's a fixed term and a fixed rate. However, groceries and things like that, fuel, self care, kids' sports. Maybe say, hey, we're not doing four sports this summer. We're only going to do one. Those are things that you can make a decision to change. And those are things that you should really start to look hard at. In addition to things like your credit cards, like how can I get rid of this credit card bill? Insurance, how could I maybe shop around and see if I can get my insurance lower than what it is? So those are opportunities, for you to research, make some phone calls, and see if you can get those lower. Or maybe you don't need as much, of the cable channels and you can start reducing that. But outside of that, your variable expenses is where you're going to see the biggest opportunity for change. Okay, so put in your grocery amount. Um, your gas and fuel, how much do you normally spend on that? Maybe you say, hey, I'm not going to, the city every weekend like I was because it costs too much in gas. So I'm going to sit home and stay inside for a while. Self care. I know that us ladies, we spend a lot of money on self care. And I do think it's important. However, it can get extremely out of control if we don't start to look at it. Um, if you look at how much you're spending on getting your hair done every week, every 2 weeks, your nails, your pedicure, your lashes, your massage, like it can really be sometimes $800-900 a month or more. So start thinking about, okay, do I really need to get a pedicure every week? Do I really need to get my hair done every week? Maybe I can do it every 2 weeks. Like start to think about those things. So let's just say 200 for that, which we know it's more, but we go with 200. Your kids' sports and activities, what does that look like every month? Dry cleaning. Hey, maybe sometimes I could, um, wash and do my own laundry and not have to send it to the dry cleaner. Like those are things you could take a look at. And then other can be eating out. You got a budget for that. Other can be, you going shopping. Whatever you have that budget for, that you know every month consistently, or if not consistently, frequently, that you are spending some type of money on that expense. Go ahead and add it in other, because if that's something that you want to continue to do, then we have to have a budget for it. So whatever that other is, and you can make yourself a note, a mental note, what's included in that other, and then you want to put that budget there. So if you say, hey, every month I'm going to take $100 and I'm going to go buy me a new shirt for work, that's fine. Just make sure we're accounting for it, because what we don't want to happen is we see that we have available money, and now that 100 becomes 300 because we see it and we got it, right? So if it's 100, let's budget for it. Total monthly variable expenses is showing now at $1,250. So it's showing net income, and that's that 80%. Remember the 10, 10, 80? That's the 80% from above in the spreadsheet. Let's look at it. So that's this number right here that is being moved down to this section now is net income. Fixed expenses, the 5825, that number is coming from here. And then we have the variable expenses, right? This is coming from the variable side, the groceries, the fuel, the self-care, and so forth. And we put in $1,250. Now, any idea why this is red? This section is red. It's showing that your net monthly wealth after all expenses is negative $408.34. So what does that mean? That means that if we go back to the top in income, our $8,333.33 minus our tithes, minus our savings, all of our fixed expenses, all of our variable expenses is not enough to cover everything. So that $408.34 that we're short has to come from somewhere. And what normally happens with that is we're pulling from a savings account that we already have that we're trying to save so we can invest, or for a specific reason that we're saving for. But now we're having to go to that savings account and pull out $408 to meet our expenses and budgets that we have for the month. Now, if you've never looked at that before, now you're thinking, okay, I knew I was pulling out of my savings account, but I didn't really know why or what wasn't working. You have a clear picture now of what that looks like and what you can do to potentially change it. Now, keep in mind also that the 40834 also includes you paying your tithes and paying yourself. So, one thing that you can possibly look at, which is not ideal, but it is a possibility, that the 40834, instead of you going and pull that out of your high interest bearing savings account, it can be taken from the 83333 that you're going to put up and put away in savings this current month. What does that mean? So that means that instead of you pulling out the $400 that you're short, the $408, instead of being able to deposit an additional $833 into your savings account this month, you can only deposit, let's see, that would be 833 minus 408. Now you can only deposit $425 into that savings. So you can look at that and say, well, that's still good, because at first I wasn't maybe even thinking about paying myself, but now I'm still able to put $425 into my savings account. You're absolutely right. That is a positive. That is a move in the right direction. However, it is not our optimal goal. The optimal goal is to take the 833 and put into that account, not whatever's left, right? So definitely a good start, a move in the right direction. And for me and for you, that is a win. However, we want to get to the point to where we can cut enough to where that 408 is not negative, that we're still able to put the full 833 in this instance into our savings account, opposed to a portion of it. All right. So I want to show you, whenever this shows red, that means that we're negative. Let's just say if we cut out all of our self-care, which I don't recommend. I'm just trying to show you something here. Kids sports, dry cleaning, let's just take all that out. Okay. And so let's take out other because we're not getting that shirt every month for work. Um, and now it's yellow. It's saying, hey, we're good. Net monthly income after all expenses, now you have a positive $91.66. So going back to that savings account, you're able to put all of the $833.33 into that savings. You've also paid your tithes and you've also paid all of your bills and expenses. When's the last time you looked up? You've paid your tithes, paid yourself, paid all of your bills, everything's done, and you still got $91.66 to do whatever it is that you want to do with it because all of your bases are covered. Not sure if it's been a while, not sure if it was yesterday, but it's always good to look at this and say, this $91, I can take it, I can put it up, or I can just go spend it on a nice steak. You have that ability to be able to do whatever it is you want to do at that point. Now, I want to also show you that when let's just say if we had no credit cards, or no, we got a cell phone. So let's see, no credit cards. All right, we'll take off one of the credit cards. Let's say if that wasn't there. Did you see now this net monthly wealth section is green? This is saying, hey, we are doing really good with budgeting. We have $366.66 after tithes, savings, fixed expenses, variable expenses. Now I could do a couple of things. I could use that 366 to pay down debt, pay down that credit card, maybe even a portion of it, not the whole thing. An extra $100 to pay off a credit card earlier. I could take it and add more to my savings. So now instead of the 833 in savings, I'm going to make that 933 because I have extra money. That could also mean now that I've paid my 10% tithes, I'm going to give an extra $100 as a seed because I'm expecting God to be even greater and better in my life and in my finances, right? There's so many things that you can do with that. Now you have options. We want options. Financial freedom gives you options. And that is why we're doing this monthly sheet. We don't want to wait 6 months down the road and have to do this because one, it takes way too long to go back and do this 6 months down the road. That means 6 months of data, 6 months of everything that we just did, you have to do. Let's do it monthly. Let's know every month what's coming in, what's going out, so we have options. Okay. And so, did you add to your net worth this month using your income? Is it a yes or no? If you did, yes. If you didn't, change it to a no. Whatever it is, if it's red, it's a no. If it's yellow or green, it's a yes. That means that you've added to it, right? You're not short. And if you scroll down, you can add in the balance in your savings account. Again, this is ideal for tracking. So you can put in your savings. So you got 10 grand in your savings this month, and then you have 5 grand in your checking this month, right? What's the purpose of this? It doesn't change your net monthly wealth after all expenses, but what it does is now we can track. So when I go in and I finish this spreadsheet and I go file and save as, I'm going to save that as the current month that I'm in. So when I come back and do it next month, and in this case, we're using June. So when I come back and do it in July, I'm going to go back and look at June and I'm going to see if I'm improving my monthly budgeting habits or if it's staying the same or if it's going backwards, right?